please take your seats? Please join me in welcoming our television and webcast viewers. My name is Fred Mifflin, President of the Canadian Club of Toronto. Viewers, we're very pleased that you're participating with us today. For 120 years, the Canadian Club has been proud to provide a forum for leaders in every aspect of society to share their ideas with us and to challenge our thinking. We're committed to providing a welcoming venue for discussion and debate on issues that impact our daily lives. Through our programs and activities, we offer access to dynamic political, business, and public figures from across our country and from around the world, like today's special guest, the Honourable Charles Sousa. Before I formally introduce Minister Sousa, here's a snapshot of some of our upcoming events. On Thursday, November 10th, the presidents of the Maple League of Universities, Acadia, Bishops, Mount Allison, and St. Francis Xavier will discuss how their innovative partnership will reset the standard of undergraduate education in Canada. And on Wednesday, November 16th, the Honourable Brad Dogood, Ontario's Minister of Economic Development and Growth, will address the Club on the government's plans to drive economic growth in our province. To order your tickets or to learn more about the Club, please visit our website at canadianclub.org. You can also join the conversation via Twitter and Instagram by following us at CDNCLUBTO or by using that hashtag. I want to express special thanks to our Ontario series sponsors, Bruce Power, represented by John Peevers, and the Carpenters District Council of Ontario, represented by Nikki Holland. Thank you for your generous support. And now our guest speaker. We're pleased to have the province's Chief Financial Officer with us today to provide a statement of account on Ontario's fiscal affairs. Based on data from his ministry, the numbers are improving. Ontario's economic growth is outpacing the national average. Jobs are being created at a steady pace, and the plan is to balance the budget by 2017-2018. We've been fortunate to have Minister Sousa provide us with fiscal updates in the past. His financial background and experience make him well equipped to oversee our finances. Before being elected to Queen's Park 9 years ago, he was with RBC Financial Group. He's also owned a financing company that supported small and medium-sized businesses. The MPP for Mississauga South has been a key member of the Premier's Cabinet. In addition to being Finance Minister, he serves as Vice Chair of Treasury Board and Management Board of Cabinet. He's previously held a number of other ministerial roles, including Citizenship and Immigration, Labour, and Minister responsible for the 2015 Pan and Para-Pan Am Games. Minister Sousa believes that financial literacy should start early. In 2009, he successfully advocated to include financial literacy in elementary and secondary school curriculum. He also facilitated passage of the Payday Loans Act, which protects consumers against predatory lending. Minister Sousa has also weighed in on national issues such as retirement income security. The ministers kindly agreed to take questions after his formal remarks, so you'll find Q&A cards on your tables, so please fill those out, and one of our staff will collect them during the speech. Minister Sousa, again, welcome. The Canadian Club of Toronto's podium is yours.
Thank you, Fred, for that kind introduction, and thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate the Canadian Club and the sponsors for hosting this event. I'd also like to acknowledge a few people in the room, some of my colleagues. Han Dong is the MPP for Trinity Spadina. Where are you, Han? There he is. Arthur Potts is the MPP for Beaches East York. He's got a very exciting private members bill coming out soon that we're all waiting for. I also like to acknowledge a few former MPPs. One who comes to work every day still, provides great institutional memory, stands by us, and attends every Treasury Board meeting. My senior intern, Jerry Phillips. Where are you, Jerry? Another former MPP is working again for the province of Ontario. He is now chairing the highly skilled workforce expert panel. And he's been doing an outstanding job, the very eloquent Sean Conway. Where are you? I've never seen Sean so shy. Another former colleague who has done a tremendous service to the province of Ontario. Over many years, he's one of the youngest MPPs elected to the province. And he's held true to his values, and he stood tall throughout many battles. He became the leader of the Conservative Party, and he ran as leader, and now he has become the CEO of the Oriya. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Hudak. All right. Before we get going, let's deal with the U.S. election right up front. And let me be clear. It would be totally inappropriate of me, as Ontario's Minister of Finance, to weigh into the U.S. election. Obviously, Americans need to decide for themselves, so I'll keep my views to myself as well. I really don't know how that got there. That picture was secure on my private email server. All right, in all seriousness, I would like to talk about the political discourse south of the border. Even here in Ontario, it's the notion that governments are a negative influence on people's lives. That the best thing a government can do is just slash taxes, cut services, and get out of the way. It's easy to say, sounds simple. But I reject that notion because it's harmful, it's cynical. Because when you ask Canadians what makes them proud of their country, the answers are the same. Proud of our universal health care, proud of our public education, proud of our inclusive society where everyone has a chance to succeed. That's why government exists. They play a critical role to enable greater opportunity for businesses looking to grow and create jobs, for people looking to build a brighter future, for families looking to make a better life for their kids, for everyone. And I believe that's what our government is doing. I'm proud of our record. I'm proud of how far we've come. Let's remember where we were 13 years ago. Hillary Clinton was the junior senator from New York. Donald Trump began filming The Apprentice. Lance Armstrong won his 5th Tour de France title, or so we thought at the time. Mike Weir, on the other hand, won the Masters legitimately. And great golfers in the room. And in July 2003, blackouts left 10 million Ontarians and 45 million Americans without power. Oh, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were rebuilding. 2003 was also when we were elected as a new Ontario Liberal government on the promise that we would play a more active role in investing and rebuilding Ontario. And we did. We rebuilt the energy grid to maintain the integrity of our production and transmission. We rebuilt our public school system so that it would be the envy of the world. We increased funding for health care and hired more nurses and doctors. We restored social programs to deserving Ontarians in need. And we balanced the budget for 3 straight years. Which brings us to 2008. It was a critical point in time. Let me once again remind you of what was going on around us. Barack Obama became president. He tapped Hillary Clinton to be Secretary of State. Justin Trudeau was elected as Member of Parliament. And the Leafs were still rebuilding. And as you all remember, the global economy suffered a meltdown. plunging us into the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Some estimates put the total loss at $15 trillion worldwide. Of course, Ontario was not immune. We, like most jurisdictions around the globe, experienced massive job losses and slowing economy. Ontario's real GDP fell. We lost 272,000 jobs. Our key sectors, manufacturing and financial services, took significant hits. Government revenues dried up. Now, it would have been easy to slash services, let people fend for themselves, to make getting ahead a zero-sum game. But we knew that's not who we are as compassionate people. We believe in Ontario. We believe in ourselves. We believe in helping each other. Everyone had to pitch in to help in our recovery. We made tough choices. We chose to put critical steps in place so that when the global economy improved, Ontario was well positioned to lead. It was important for us to establish the right conditions to attract business investment, support existing companies to keep jobs in Ontario, and stimulate economic growth. So we introduced the HST, a value-added tax system that removed billions of dollars in embedded costs paid by businesses. We also cut corporate income tax, making our combined federal-provincial general corporate tax rate the second lowest in Canada and lower than any comparable rate in the U.S. states. We also lowered compliance costs and eliminated the capital tax, which was a significant disincentive to investment. And we retrained thousands of laid-off workers for a second career. Though these measures were successful, challenges remained. The world economy was still fragile. The economic recovery was different from those in the past. Previously, we enjoyed robust growth after prolonged recessions, like in the 80s, when Ontario experienced a recovery growth of 5.2%, and in the 90s, when the recovery growth was 3.6%. But this recovery was seeing much slower growth throughout the world and here in Ontario. Ontario's average growth rate was only 2.3%. So, in 2013, under Premier Wynne, we knew we had to take a more active role to spur economic growth and create jobs. And our plan was built on four major pillars. One, we chose to invest in skills and training. A highly educated workforce is our greatest strength. We built 127 new schools and expanded an additional 133 since 2013. We were first in North America to have full-day kindergarten, giving our children a head start, an early start in reading, writing, and math. We all know that jobs of the future require advanced education and skills. Businesses have consistently told us a large barrier to success is being able to find employees with the right skills. The sticker shock of tuition is keeping too many students from attaining their full potential. So, starting next school year, the Ontario Student Grant will make tuition free for more than 150,000 students from low-income families. Tuition will also be more affordable for many more families. We all want the next generation to succeed, to become high achievers, to be entrepreneurs, to build our economy. Not just to work the jobs of the future, but creating them. And the focus on growth and jobs leads us to the second pillar of our economic plan, investing in infrastructure. For too long, decades in fact, Ontario neglected to make the necessary investments. It's not only a matter of repairing what we already have in place, it's about looking forward and anticipating what we'll need. Our population is expected to grow by approximately 40% in 20 years. And our infrastructure needs to grow with it. These are smart investments. In the short term, they create jobs, and in the long term, they are truly value-add. The Broadbent Institute and the Centre for Spatial Economics has said that for every dollar spent on infrastructure today, GDP rises by almost $4 in the long term. So, we are investing. We're investing $160 billion over 12 years. It's the single largest infrastructure investment in the province's history. supporting more than 110,000 jobs per year, improving highways and roads to get goods and services moving more quickly in a just-in-time world, by providing new rapid transit to get you home in time to have dinner with your family, to build more hospitals, to reduce wait times. We've built 7 new hospitals in the last 3 years alone, and in the next 5 years, we're continuing with our plans to build 38 more to ensure patients get the care when they need it, where they need it. We continue to build up our energy infrastructure, hard to say, with more than $35 billion invested since taking office, with more than 16,000 megawatts of new power generation and 700 kilometers of new transmission lines. These investments now represent the majority of our current supply, which is 90% emissions-free. We made the necessary investments to ensure the lights stay on and protect our environment. The people of Ontario will reap the benefits of these investments sooner than others, because other places like our neighboring U.S. states still have to make them. We shut down the coal plants sooner than anywhere else. It's the single largest greenhouse gas reduction initiative ever completed in North America's history. It was like taking 7 million cars off the roads. Remember, we suffered 30 smog days in 2012. Last year, we had none. 0. That means fewer respiratory attacks. That means our kids and grandkids can breathe easy. The third pillar of our economic plan is promoting a fair society with greater retirement security. 2/3 of Ontario workers do not have a workplace pension. Many families are worried about maintaining their standard of living in retirement. So, our government was determined to address this problem. Our goal was always to enhance the Canada Pension Plan. But the previous federal government was clearly not interested, shutting down all talks in 2013. We knew that burying our heads in the sand would not make this problem go away. Ignoring it would have been irresponsible. So we proposed a made-in-Ontario solution, the Ontario Retirement Pension Plan, which ultimately led to the historic agreement between the provinces and the new federal government on CPP enhancement earlier this year. This agreement would not have happened without our work on the commitment to create the ORPP. And the cost to achieve a more secure, predictable retirement system for all Canadians was money well spent. It will be money well invested. And the fourth pillar of our economic plan is to foster a dynamic and competitive business climate. Our decision to eliminate coal was part of our plan to become leaders in the low-carbon economy and clean tech. We're now at the forefront for developing new green technologies and selling them to the world. The clean tech sector in Ontario is now worth an estimated $8 billion in annual revenues and $1 billion in exports. And those numbers are growing. The clean tech sector is creating jobs of the future instead of holding on to jobs of the past. And just as we're at the forefront of phasing out coal, we'll be a leader in fighting climate change. Ontario's cap-and-trade program is designed to do just that, to reward businesses that reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And by law, every dollar collected through cap-and-trade must be invested in a transparent way back to projects that reduce greenhouse gas pollution. But more can be done. It's why we're also focusing on helping businesses scale up. Small and medium enterprises are critical to Ontario's economic success. They make up 85% of all jobs created. So we launched our Business Growth Initiative, a 5-year, $400 million plan to bolster Ontario's businesses, to increase productivity and generate new jobs. Our transition to an innovation economy is critical. Our IT sector ranks second in North America. Ontario and Silicon Valley are leading the way. Promoting innovation is a critically important step. So we will continue to support research excellence by committing more than $1.5 billion to become the global center for innovation. And our government our government must also embrace these new technologies to become faster and more efficient as well. Many of you know Communitech. It's a world-leading tech innovation center located in Waterloo. They support 1,000 companies, helping them collaborate and helping them grow. And to leverage that expertise, I'm pleased to announce today that the Ontario government will be establishing a digital outpost at Communitech next year, setting up shop in one of Canada's most well-known centers of entrepreneurial activity. The digital outpost will allow government to better identify how new technologies can help us deliver public services faster and easier. Furthermore, we must continue to modernize our regulations so that businesses can focus on doing what they do best. Someone once said that there's a presumption of permission in the United States, while in Ontario it's considered a presumption of prohibition. Let me give you an example of how we're responding. We recognize that the current regulatory framework might not fit with new emerging financial technology or fintech companies. They may not align with the business models of innovative companies entering the market. Balancing investor and consumer protection while embracing and promoting new innovation is key. That's why the Ontario Securities Commission recently announced a pilot project called the OSC Launchpad, the first innovation hub by a Canadian securities regulator, staffed by a specialized team to help fintech companies with securities law and to get them to market faster. The team will help with registration of new business models, online advising, peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding platforms, angel investor organizations. The Launchpad will also provide the OSC the opportunity to see the latest developments up close and apply its learnings more broadly in modernizing regulations for similar companies. Thank you so much for all you're doing. And let me give you another example of how we're modernizing and improving regulations. In 2015, we created an expert advisory panel, Larry Ritchie, George Cook, and James Daw. We asked them to review mandates of three important organizations: the Financial Services Commission of Ontario, the Financial Services Tribunal, and the Deposit Insurance Corporation of Ontario. George Cook and James Daw are with us today. Please join me in thanking them and Larry, who's not here, I believe, for their work. George, James, please stand up. They recommended significant reforms to the province. The agency mandates were outdated, there was a lack of appropriate governance and accountability, and the regulators were constrained in carrying out their responsibilities. So today, I am announcing that our government will be introducing legislation to establish the initial parameters for the Financial Services Regulator Authority. It will modernize and strengthen the regulations of financial services and pensions. It will be more consumer-focused. Further details of this new regulator will be revealed when I table the 2016 Fall Economic Statement on Monday, November 14th. So, that brings us to where we are today. Either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton will be elected President of the United States. The Leafs, well, they're rebuilding again. And more importantly, our plan to build Ontario up is working. Our plan is creating jobs. For 18 months in a row, Ontario's unemployment has been lower than the national average. Today, it's 6.4%, the lowest since the 2008 crisis. Net new jobs are up by 641,000, almost all of them full-time. The vast majority are private sector, and high-paying at that. Our economy is growing. In fact, Ontario is outpacing the rest of Canada in housing starts, in exports, in manufacturing and retail sales. Ontario posted higher GDP growth in the first quarter of 2016 than Canada, the United States, and all other G7 countries. But growth everywhere is slow. There are global challenges still. We get that. It's why we set ambitious targets year after year. And for 7 years in a row, our government has consistently beaten those fiscal targets without sacrificing the services and programs that matter to all of us. We know there are more Ontarians that stand to benefit from our economic recovery. That's why we're creating another 100,000 childcare spaces in the next 5 years, helping more kids get a greater start, and making it easier for parents to go to work, be it before or after school programs or drop-in centers or in more licensed childcare. It's why we are helping to reduce our electricity costs for 5 million families, small businesses, and farms by removing the 8% provincial portion of the HST. All of us are concerned about everyday costs. Housing affordability is also an area of concern for many, especially for first-time homebuyers right here in the GTA. Growth in residential real estate values has been good for our recovery and for our economy. It has allowed homeowners to build up their financial security. The price point, however, has also made it harder for someone starting out to own a home. We've been examining this problem closely. I've been asked time and again if we're going to do the same as British Columbia. But the Ontario market faces unique challenges, different than BC. So our government will be taking different measures to address housing affordability. And you can expect us to say more about this next week in the Fall Economic Statement, as well as further plans to strengthen our health care, to invest in education, to support our businesses, and to help people in their everyday lives. I'm proud of what we've accomplished and where we are today. But I'm more excited about where we are going. Our path to balance has not been an easy one. We've had to make some tough choices. But like most things in life, the journey is just as important as the destination. We've achieved much on our way to balancing the budget with better education and better retirement from start to finish, with better health care so that people can get the care they deserve quicker and closer to home, building our transit system so that goods get to market more quickly and people get home more safely. Making people's lives easier is key. I'm proud of the role that our government has played to foster greater opportunity. And I'm confident that we have made and are making the right choices to bring our province back to balance, to continue to build Ontario up for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I've received a few questions.
Okay.
The first one has to do with trade. There's been a lot of discussion about trade lately, CETA, NAFTA, TPP. What is the government doing to make Ontario the destination of choice for international trade?
It's a great question. As a result, every time we do a budget and we do our post-budget tour, we go to various countries to promote Ontario. We are a substantially large subnational government, and trade affects us directly because of the size and scope of the province. It is why we actually have a Minister of Trade for the province of Ontario, and we do engage directly with the federal government where possible to provide our points of view and enable more trade. In fact, we have to promote more trade within Canada, within our own borders. And that is also underway through the leadership of Brad Dogood. And Michael Chan is doing a tremendous job of getting outside of Canada to open up some of those opportunities. The Premier has led a number of trade missions, signed billions in contracts, and more importantly, we all recognize that Ontario has been a great destination of choice for foreign investment. We have led in foreign direct investment for a number of years, beating out every other province and U.S. state. And it bodes well and speaks to the desire of the province of Ontario and Canada to promote more trade. And we are free traders, and we certainly will do our utmost to promote more, keeping in mind some of the issues that are dear to the province of Ontario and to parts of Canada. But on the most part, we would like to see more trade agreements.
Okay. The next question deals with your discussion about the creation of the new Financial Services Regulatory Authority. Can you explain a little bit about what this new body will do, and specifically why you felt this change was necessary in today's world?
As mentioned, those two gentlemen sitting at that table at the far end, especially and Larry, who reviewed the mandates, the governance, the scope of our existing regulators, recognizing that they weren't as fully the complement wasn't as rich as it can be in order to deal with consumer issues, with governance matters, and to be more nimble with the change of scope and innovation that's happening in our society. A number of reviews are being put forward, but the team has addressed and provided 44 recommendations as to how to be greater by way of having autonomy. The existing regulators are very closely aligned with government. We need to provide some more distance, as is with the Ontario Securities Commission. And this enables them to have even greater enforcement power and allow us to be a little bit more nimble with our stakeholders as well. I'm very excited about the recommendations put forward. I know James Daw especially wants us to be mindful of the consumer and the investor and provide greater protections on that scope. We're going to do that, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we've got time for one more question. You talked about high-tech and creating high-tech jobs. Can you talk a little bit about what the government can do to revitalize manufacturing in Ontario?
Yeah, it's the new age of manufacturing. It's agri-food processing. It's the whole sectors of our economy that's changing, that's enabling us to weather some of the commodity shocks that happen now in Ontario, around Canada. And as a result of that diversified economy, we have been able to lead the country in other aspects. Innovation is a big part of it. There was something that Mark Carney once said. I'm trying to find it here. And if I consider fintech and I look at what the Ontario Securities Commission is doing around that whole area of new technology, new entrants coming into the marketplace, he said fintech should neither be the Wild West nor be strangled at birth. We can't discourage avatars by preserving dinosaurs. And this is what Ontario has to embrace. We as a government have to embrace it. It's why we're looking at Communitech to launch some of those ideas and to be part of that. And I'm very excited about what Launchpad is doing to foster greater awareness of the industry and to be at the forefront. But manufacturing, the traditional manufacturing, agri-food processing, they're our largest GDP contributors to the province. And to protect that is essential. But make no mistake, we cannot compete in low-wage assembly line jobs. We got to move forward and stay abreast of those new technologies and new manufacturing opportunities. And Ontario is winning. We have more exports going out. We've got more technology breakthroughs happening. We've got more startups in Ontario than anywhere else in Canada combined. We have established great trade with other provinces and other jurisdictions around the world. And I'm looking at a number of you who are actually at the front line doing this very thing. I'm looking at a number of you who are doing a lot of good things in Silicon Valley and frankly trying to make that Silicon Valley happening right here in the province of Ontario. And that's just not high-tech stuff. It's not just clean tech. It's real manufacturing opportunities. We've got some new sign-ups with the auto sector, which we protected, and I'm glad that we stood tall and stood firm to preserve those jobs and those opportunities here in Ontario because it's going to bode well for us in the future. So the strength of the economy, frankly, are people like you, and that's what's bringing us to the forefront.
Great, thank you. I'd now like to invite Nikki Holland, the director of the Canadian Club, to formally thank the minister.
No.
You can make all the jokes you want.
No, you stay here. First of all, thank you very much for coming today and for making the Canadian Club your choice of podium. This was a fantastic financial update. And really thanks for taking us through a little bit of a history memory lane, showing us what we've accomplished and where we're going. Notwithstanding the peculiar election across the border, it's really, really comforting to know that our economy is in stable hands, your stable hands, and that your government is going to continue to focus on jobs and on the economy. We look forward to your fall economic statement on Monday, but I'm sure not as much as we're looking forward to tonight's results.
A great day to announce the fall economic statement.
In all seriousness, Minister, thank you very much for speaking to us today, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much, Nikki. I also want to reiterate my thanks, Minister, for you being here today. Thank you again to our Ontario Series sponsors, Bruce Power and the Carpenters District Council of Ontario. This concludes our program today, which will be broadcast on Rogers TV in the days to come. We are grateful to Rogers TV and 680 News for their continuing promotion of Canadian Club events. I also want to thank MediaEvents.ca, Canada's online event space, and VVC for live streaming today's events. To learn more about the club, please visit us at canadianclub.org. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at another of our events in the near future. Have a great afternoon.